Welcome back to Man on a Beach. Here I'm on the lane down from Penair to Hemmick Beach, and I'm with Giles. Giles, what does the beach mean to you?
It's one of my favourites, and since I worked for the National Trust for 25 years, my job was to cover the whole of the coast of Cornwall in the ownership of the National Trust, which is over 120 miles, and this is as good as it gets, as pretty as anywhere really. Hemmick down here is a bit of a secret because there's virtually nowhere to park, although you've just walked down from a very decent car park up the hill at Penair. I and my family have just walked around the Dodman, which I think is in many ways the grandest headland around the whole of Cornwall. It's slightly sinister in bad weather, but on a day like today, quite friendly. I've sailed off it many times, and to me it is the senior headland of the south coast. And of course the view from the end of the Dodman, you can see all the way up to Start Point and all the way down to the Lizard, well actually Black Head on the Lizard. So it's as good as it gets, and there's virtually no one here to enjoy it, which I find equally attractive. There's a story I'd like to tell you there, because in the distance you can see Nair Head, which is another stunning headland, and off it is Gull Rock. And a man who did more to protect the coastline of Cornwall than anyone was a man called Michael Trinick, who was the regional director of the National Trust for many years, whose name ought to be familiar to people because he was responsible for acquiring and protecting 50 or 60, during his career, distinguished career, he acquired something like 60 miles of coastline. And when he was made the sheriff of Cornwall, he thought he'd do something to mark the occasion, and he bought Gull Rock. He tracked it down to someone in Canada who owned it, and he was a friend with he got to know the captain of a brand new frigate, HMS Cornwall, and between them they cooked up the idea of taking possession of Gull Rock. So we landed Royal Marines with a flag on the rock, and we steamed between Gull Rock and Nair Head at 20 knots in an unforgettable spectacle. The navigator looked a little white and nervous. It felt very narrow. Actually, there's plenty of water there, both width and depth. So I could go on telling you stories about this part of the world, but I think it's just the best. And the joy, of course, is that between here and Falmouth, you have, heaven knows, 7 to 8 miles of unspoilt coastline, all in the permanent protection of the National Trust. Thank God.
And that husbandry is really remarkable, isn't it, in terms of the enjoyment for us all?
Well, it's very nice, gentle walking. I think the standard of management's looking pretty good. That doesn't mean to say I haven't noticed one or two things that could be better, but here it is for everyone to enjoy, free of charge. It's a glorious aspect of our civilized nation.
Thank you very much, Giles. Cheers.
Pleasure.